That you think the situation in Gaza has been ignored?
Yes, pretty badly, including by many media stations.
I think we've discussed it more than any other issue on this show, probably on LBC collectively in the last 3 years.
I didn't name your station. No, you're quite defensive.
It's been front page news on pretty much every newspaper almost every week over the last 3 years. How has it been ignored?
They keep insisting these chants are about freedom. We're told the slogans are harmless, that anyone questioning them is just overreacting. But then an LBC host asks one very simple question, a question so basic it completely breaks the narrative. If you don't know what it means, why are you defending it? If you're tired of being gaslit and you think public debate has hit a new low, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Let's watch the moment the story unravels.
Let's get the perspective of Ajmal Masroor, Imam broadcaster who stood as a pro-Gaza independent in the general election. Ajmal, good to have you in the programme tonight. This latest statement from the police, they are going to take it far more seriously if people chant globalise the intifada. What do you make of it? Is that the right decision?
I don't think it is the right decision, because we need to look at the context as well as the reason why people would make outrageous slogans. I think when you silence people and when you ignore the voices that are calling for justice and fairness for all people, when people are calling for freedom of the Palestinians, for ending the occupation, ending genocide, ending all the horrible atrocities that have been perpetrated against the Palestinians for nearly 100 years, when that's been ignored and inconsistencies are so prevalent in our narratives, people will say all sorts of silly things just to get attention.
You think the situation in Gaza has been ignored?
Yes, pretty badly, including by many media stations.
I think we've discussed it more than any other issue on this show, probably on LBC collectively in the last 3 years.
I didn't name your station. No, you're quite defensive.
It's been front page news on pretty much every newspaper almost every week over the last 3 years. How has it been ignored?
I think you need to understand the perspective. The reports after reports have found that the media reporting has been biased. Media reporting has been skewed towards supporting one side and ignoring what's happening to the Palestinians. Look, nearly 60,000 Palestinians have been butchered, bombed to bits by the Israeli army. How much of that has been really condemned? And when we have seen Hamas do their terrorist activities, it dominates the conversation. We need to be fair, and I'm very fair here, Ben. I call for justice and fairness for everybody, whether you're Muslim, Jew or Christian, I don't care. They're very upset that none of us are taking it seriously. Britain, who created the mess in the first place by giving away Palestine to a European Zionist movement, a group of people who did not belong to Palestine.
Again, can we focus on that phrase, because that's the subject?
I'm coming to the phrase. I'm saying, why are they saying this? They're saying it because they're angry. They're saying it because they're upset. They're saying it because nobody's listening.
What does that phrase mean to you, Ajmal? Globalise the intifada.
You've just made a very unfair statement, and I need to correct
you. Go on, come back.
Anti-Semitism is a European problem. Palestinians were not anti-Semitic. They lived together for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Sorry, you don't think sorry, Ajmal, come on. You don't think the Iranian regime is anti-Semitic?
How long has the Iranian regime been in power? And
but it's not a European problem, is it? It's a global problem.
The Holocaust happened in Europe in the 40s. The Iranians were not involved. In fact, Iranians took the massacred and beleaguered Jewish communities into their own
15 Jews have just been shot dead, Ajmal, 5 days ago in Australia. And you want to tell me it's a European problem?
I have condemned it outright, and I've said 60,000 Palestinians have been killed by the bombs of Israel, as well as, 100,000 Yemenis have been killed, thousands of Sudanese have been killed. My point is very simple, Ben.
What is yours?
We have to be consistent in our call for justice.
And I asked you, the question I asked you was, what do you interpret the chant globalise the intifada to mean?
I don't understand what that means in reality, because it's a slogan that...
So how can you oppose people being arrested for chanting something that you don't know what it means? Because a lot of people think it means kill Jews across the world.
I'm coming to it very clear. Intifada was glorified, celebrated by our media, our British government, when people like Yasser Arafat was leading it. We were talking about how amazing the Palestinians are for resisting it. Now the very word Intifada is being criminalized. These yo-yo between words that are defined one day and redefined another day, we're confused by this kind of crazy switch between definitions. What I do believe in, and that is we must end occupation. And when there is an occupied land, people who are occupied have the right to resist. We can't deny them their basic right to resist, basic right to free their land against occupation, against racism, against massacre, against brutality and genocide.
By that? What do you mean by the right to resist? What does that mean in practice?
That they can. So, for example, if somebody, I'll give you a good example. If Scotland decided en masse to make a claim on England and came and occupied your house, my mother and my father and my brothers and sisters are kicked out, you and I would have every right to defend ourselves, to protect my home.
And was the 7th of October defensive? I don't know what you're saying, Ajmal.
When you say 750,000 Palestinians were kicked out of their homes.
That wasn't what I asked.
1967, hundreds and thousands of Palestinians have been massacred. Sabra and Shatila. Do you want me to give you a list?
This is where we get. Every single time we try and talk about violent incitement of violence against Jews, people like yourself come on. You say, but what about Gaza? What about Palestine? As if both things can't be true. As if both things can't be true.
I think you're being unfair.
I'm not being unfair.
I'm saying...
Because you tried to make this entire conversation about the plight of the Palestinian people, which is a very legitimate plight, don't get me wrong. But we are talking this hour about another very legitimate plight, which is the plight of Jewish people who fear for their lives right now because of people walking through the streets of London saying things like globalise the Intifada.
Guess what? During the Bondi Beach massacre that happened only the other day, a Muslim risked his life. His name is Ahmed.
Yep, a hero.
He starts by bending the past, pushing the idea that anti-Semitism is somehow a European-only phenomenon, while quietly ignoring the modern movements and governments actively bankrolling violence today. That claim doesn't just oversimplify history, it erases the present. But the moment that really exposes the problem comes later. On live national radio, he openly admits he doesn't understand what the phrase "globalize the Intifada" even means. Pause there, because if the words are supposedly meaningless to him, why is he so determined to protect them from scrutiny? Why fight to keep a slogan in public spaces if you claim to have no idea what you're defending? That contradiction isn't accidental. It's convenient. You can't switch narratives mid-sentence. You don't get to describe a chant as a legitimate expression of resistance 1 minute, then downgrade it to an empty soundbite the next, purely to dodge responsibility. That's when Phil Rosenberg cuts through the fog and grounds the discussion in reality. These aren't abstract ideas. There's a documented history behind that language, violence carried out in public spaces against ordinary people using brutal methods. At that point, this stops being a debate about expression. The real issue becomes whether society allows violent intent to be masked behind deliberate uncertainty. So I'll leave it with you. Do you believe this ignorance is genuine, or is it being used as cover? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more breakdowns like this, hit the like button.